Today, I'm going to teach you how liars expose themselves every time. There is no perfect liar. Every lie leaves a trace, and the body reveals the truth long before the words do. If you know what to watch for, you can catch deception in under 5 seconds. This is about mastering the psychology and biology of lying so you can see manipulation coming before it hits. Let's break down the human mind and the signals that betray it. Part 1. Why these behaviors exist. The psychology behind the patterns. These signs of lying might seem random at first, but they're driven by deep, predictable patterns in human psychology. Here's the science. Lying triggers anxiety because we fear consequences. Lying increases cognitive load because the brain must juggle multiple tasks. Lying creates emotional conflict. We want to be honest, but we also want to protect ourselves. Lying triggers physiological arousal, sweating, pulse increase, muscle tension. Lying demands emotional suppression. The face becomes tense, expression becomes delayed. The body is fighting itself, and that battle produces the behaviors we observe. Part 2. The internal battle. What happens inside the body when we lie? When we lie, the human body experiences something called cognitive load. A lie requires more mental effort than telling the truth because your brain must create a story, maintain consistency, monitor the reaction of the listener, hide the uncomfortable truth, prevent your real feelings from leaking out, predict consequences, regulate anxiety. This combination triggers the stress response system. Research shows a liar's body often produces micro-responses linked to the limbic system, which governs emotion and survival, the autonomic nervous system, which regulates physiological reactions, and the prefrontal cortex, responsible for planning and decision-making. This tug-of-war between logic and instinct creates behavioral leakage, the involuntary behaviors we're going to explore. The body doesn't lie. The body always tells the truth first. We have small signals that reveal emotional incongruence. Let's break down the most common ones. Part 3. Behavioral red flags, the most reliable signs of lying. Here's what you came for. The science-backed, observable patterns that often appear when someone isn't telling the truth. Important disclaimer. No single behavior proves a lie. You're looking for clusters, patterns, and sudden changes from baseline behavior. Now let's look at the categories. The baseline method, your foundation. You cannot detect deception without a baseline. A baseline is a person's normal behavior when they are relaxed, unthreatened, comfortable, and telling the truth. You observe tone of voice, eye contact patterns, gestures, fidgeting habits, breathing pace, posture. Deception equals deviation from baseline. The biggest mistake beginners make? Comparing the person to your expectations instead of comparing them to their own normal behavior. The freeze, flight, or fight response, limbic system behaviors. One of the most powerful frameworks comes from limbic system reactions. When we experience stress, and lying is stressful, our body unconsciously shows one of these 3 patterns. A. Freeze behaviors. This is common when someone begins lying. Sudden stillness, reduced blinking, tightened lips, restricted gestures, shoulders rising slightly, voice becomes quieter or monotone. The body is trying not to be noticed. B. Flight behaviors. The liar wants to escape the situation. Turning feet or torso away, leaning back, increasing physical distance, looking toward the exit, touching smartphone or objects as escape substitutes. These behaviors often appear right after the lie is spoken. C. Fight behaviors. Rare, but very revealing. Sudden defensiveness, sharp tone, aggressive posture, crossing arms, challenging your question, over-explaining or dominating the conversation. The person becomes confrontational to regain control. The mouth and voice, where lies leak first. The mouth is the control center of a lie. Common signs? A. Lip pressing or lip sucking. This is an emotional suppression signal. The body tries to hold in the truth. B. Asymmetrical mouth movements, when emotion doesn't match the story. C. Microsmiles under stress. Not happiness, it's a sign of discomfort or contempt. D. Voice pitch rising. Stress tightens the vocal cords. E. Increased so. These are cognitive load fillers. A liar's vocal delivery often becomes more complex than a truth-teller's. Eye behavior misconceptions and what actually matters. Let's kill a myth. Looking away doesn't mean someone is lying. Science shows this is unreliable. What does matter? A sudden change in eye behavior. If the person normally maintains eye contact but suddenly avoids it, that's meaningful. B. Excessive eye contact. This is more common in liars than avoiding eye contact. They overcompensate. C. Blink rate changes. Stress can cause rapid blinking or a freeze with very few blinks. D. Delayed emotional expressions. Real emotion shows up instantly. Fake emotion appears a moment too late. Gestures. Hands reveal intent. Humans speak with our hands, unless we're hiding something. Here are the common deception gestures. A. Hand-to-face touching. A nose touch, rubbing eyes, covering the mouth. These aren't Pinocchio signs, they're limbic stress responses. B. Shrinking gestures. Liars often minimize movement to avoid detection. C. Over-animated gestures. Some liars swing the opposite direction. Too big, too dramatic. D. Palm hiding. Truthful people often show palms subconsciously. Liars tend to conceal them. E. Object manipulation. Twisting jewelry, tapping a pen, adjusting clothing. These are self-soothing actions. Speech patterns, the story structure of a lie. Liars speak differently than truth-tellers. Watch for A. Too many details, overcompensation. B. Too few details, avoiding exposure. C. Distancing language. Instead of my car, they say the car. Instead of I did, they say that happened. D. Verb tense inconsistencies. When fabricating, people struggle to maintain time structure. E. Repeating the question, buys time to think. F. Avoiding contractions. A liar might say, I did not do that, instead of, I didn't do that. This creates artificial formality. The comfort/discomfort principle. Comfort/discomfort principle states, humans only have two states, comfort and discomfort. Everything else is a variation. Lying pushes the body into discomfort, which produces increased movement or stillness, protective gestures, throat clearing, foot tapping, skin scratching, and shifting weight. Your job isn't to catch lies. Your job is to notice discomfort before and after specific statements. The most reliable indicator is this: a sudden discomfort spike immediately after a statement. This is when the lie lands. Part 4. How to use lie detection for self-help and personal growth. Lie detection isn't about catching others. It's about understanding yourself. Here's how this knowledge improves your life. You build stronger relationships because you understand emotional signals accurately. You stop ignoring red flags. Your intuition becomes grounded in observable behavior. You become a better communicator. You understand internal emotional states in yourself and others. You reduce social anxiety. You learn the behavioral language behind human interaction. You become harder to manipulate. Recognizing deceptive behavior stops you from being blindsided. Lying is universal. We all do it, and our bodies all give off similar signals when we do. By learning these patterns, baselines, limbic reactions, gestures, vocal changes, behavioral clusters, you gain the ability to read people more accurately, connect more deeply, and protect yourself emotionally and socially. This is just the beginning. In future episodes, we'll dive deeper into emotional psychology, behavioral patterns, influence, trauma responses, and the subtle ways human behavior reveals our inner world. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, share it with someone who loves psychology, and leave a comment with what topic you want us to explore next. Thanks for listening, and welcome to the journey of understanding what it truly means to be human.